Mark 6, 1 to 13. Let me read to you this particular passage. Jesus left there and went to his hometown, accompanied by his disciples. When the Sabbath came, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were amazed. Where did this man get these things, they asked. What's this wisdom that has been given to him? What are these remarkable miracles he's performing? Isn't this the carpenter? Isn't this Mary's son and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? Aren't the sisters here with us? And they took offense at him. Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor except in his own town, among his relatives, in his own home. He could not do any miracles there, except lay his hands on a few sick people and heal them. He was amazed at their lack of faith. Then Jesus went around teaching from village to village, calling the 12 to him. He began to send them out 2 by 2 and gave them authority over impure spirits. These were his instructions. Take nothing for the journey except a staff, no bread, no bag, no money in your belts. Wear sandals, but not an extra shirt. Whenever you enter a house, stay there until you leave that town. And if any place will not welcome you or listen to you, leave that place and shake the dust off your feet as a testimony against them. They went out and preached that people should repent. They drove out many demons and anointed many sick people with oil and healed them. What a tour of preaching and teaching and healing Jesus had been involved in. And now he returns to his hometown of Nazareth. It was Sabbath, and he's invited to teach in the synagogue. People were impressed by his teaching. It's perhaps the way in which they're impressed that they let him, and the full report of that you'll find in Luke chapter 4. And they're impressed, and so he's given the opportunity of speaking further. He's performing remarkable miracles and teaching with power, but this was not acknowledged by his relatives and friends. You'll notice he's the son of Mary, not Joseph, which might tell you that by this time, Joseph might have actually died. Following this, Jesus sends out his 12 disciples to proclaim the message of the kingdom. There was a sense of recognition by some. He was not able to do any miracles, we're told, except to bring healing to a few sick people. Their lack of faith, their attitude towards him restricted this. And Jesus sent out the disciples in twos. He gave his disciples simple instructions, lifestyle instructions, if you like, and gave them authority. We read quite clearly, and I like to look at the passage and look at the various highlights that we see in the verses that are here. In verse 1, it tells us that the people were amazed at his teaching. It tells us in verse 1 through to 2, at the end of 2, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were amazed. Gosh, people amazed at his teaching. Jesus was equally amazed. Do you find this interesting? Verse 6, he was amazed at their lack of faith. So we got amazement at him because of what he taught, and his amazement at them because of their lack of faith. Jesus continues his teaching ministry. None of this stopped him teaching. None of this restricted him because people were there. The only restriction is for their own good, that miracles didn't take place in any large number. Take nothing and lean on God seems to be the pattern for his ministry. That's why it goes on, and so he tells those disciples, go out, don't have this, don't have that, no bag, no money in your belts, no bread, all the things that you might consider the staple resources that you might expect to be able to undertake a task such as they've been given by Jesus. Don't take things with you. Get on with it. Trust God. Lean on God as the strength of your life and the one that will make all the difference. This is the pattern for them. It was the pattern for Jesus. Jesus had some simplicity about him. There was something about the fact that he went from town to town. He had to find space to find time to pray. He had to be able to go to places in isolation so that he could be fully resourced by the Spirit of God. So what is true for him is what he expects of the disciples. And as they're sent out to do the work of God, to go out in their twos, an interesting pattern in itself, not on their own, but with somebody else. As they're sent out to do those things, they're told not to stock themselves up with all the things that will make it easy. And And anybody who's ever been involved in the call of God and the work of God in their lives know that you really can't just rely on yourself and your own ability and the resources and strength that you're given by others. It has to be the source and strength which comes from God. And that's what will keep you stable. That is what will hold you firm. That is what will make it possible for you to engage in the fullest sense possible with people and in the mission that you've been called to do. I think that that's an essential part of what it means to follow after Jesus. And so when Jesus comes to his hometown, the people didn't understand, the people didn't recognize him for who and what he was. Oswald Chambers, great writer of devotional material, once said this: faith is deliberate confidence in the character of God, whose ways you may not understand at the time. If you take that truth seriously, that you may not understand at the time, it's suggesting you might understand it one day. But put your confidence in God, because what you're asked to do today is something you do today in his strength, in his power, in his grace. And as you do it, you're filled with a sense of, I'm not on my own here, because God is truly with me. Faith is that kind of confidence.